Welcome to Something to Talk About from the Bainbridge Island Senior and Community Center. I'm Reed Price, and today we're going to be talking about the Wacky Nut Farm and Community Garden. We're going to be talking with Len Beil and with Stella Lay about that. But before we get to that, I want to thank Fieldstone Communities for sponsoring this program of the Senior and Community Center. Fieldstone offers independent living and assisted living and memory care. They're located up on Rolling Bay, and they'd love to give you a tour of their properties. 206-594-1010 is the number to call. Ask for Randy O'Neill or Sierra Wood, and they'd be happy to treat you to lunch or dinner as part of your little visit. Check out the website, fieldstonecommunities.com. And I would also like to acknowledge that we are here on the ancestral homeland of the people of the clear salt water, the Suquamish people, who have been living on the waters of the Salish Sea since time immemorial. We honor them and are learning of their stewardship of these lands and waters. And, one of the interesting things about Wacky Nut, I think, is its commitment since it was first established to sustainability. Um, Len and Stella, thank you for joining us today and telling us a little bit about the wonderful property you help to manage.
Thank you.
Let's start with you, Stella, if you might talk a little bit about the farm, and then we'll show a little video that gives people a context of what we're talking about.
Okay, well, thank you, Reed. Len and I had a little chuckle before this as we were reflecting on I turned 70 this year, Len turned 80, and it's our first podcast. So I guess you just have to stay open to possibilities. You don't know where it's going to lead you. And with that, Len and I retired from the corporate world, and Len from Seattle University eons ago. And I don't think either one of us ever dreamed we would be working at a horse farm, since we're really not horse people. But here we are 18 years later in this beautiful and, dare I say, magical spot. And I think the best way, Reed, to just get a sense of place before we kind of get into some of the details of what's here, would you mind running that little video? It's about 2 minutes. Oh, and Reed, you can stop it at when we get to the guest house.
Okay. Oh,
Nope, that's good. Thank you.
I might be a little early, but that gives you a sense.
Yeah, that gives you a sense. Makes me a little sad to see those horses, those beautiful horses, as I miss them.
So So it was an active equestrian center for many years. And then you were saying before we got on that in, what was it, 2022?
2022. Yeah,
You that part of the operation took a hiatus or maybe a stop.
it
So no
did.
horses around there right now.
There are no horses on the property. Yeah, the owners of the property decided that they would put the farm on the market. But as of today, the farm is not sold. So here we are.
Well, and still very much enjoying and taking advantage of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. What I thought I would do, Reed, is just provide a few general details about the origin of the farm, and then turn it over to Len to talk more specifically about the community garden.
Okay.
And the community garden is a real passion for Len, and anybody who gets him talking about it knows that it's hard to stop him.
Okay,
So,
well, when we hit about 25 minutes, Len, I'll let you know.
yeah, they have to do this. Um, so Wacky Nut Farm is 22 acres, and it's got its funny name because it's located on a street called Wacky Nut Way. And Wacky Nut Way got its origin from the previous owner, who, when they put in the road, went to the city, and the city asked him what he wanted to name the farm, or name the street rather. And he had his little granddaughter with him. Now this is the tale we've been told, so I hope I'm being accurate. And he asked his granddaughter, "What do you think we should name it?" And she said, "How about Wacky Nut?" Because that was his pet name for her. So it's really kind of a sweet story that we like to tell people who scratch their heads and ask, why is it called Wacky Nut Farm? That's the reason. So
That's right. Therein lies a tail, not just a horse tail.
that good one, good one. So the property was purchased 20 plus years ago to build an equestrian facility. And at that time, the only thing on the property was this large structure that Len and I are sitting in right now, housing a recording studio. And it was converted into what is now a residence, an Airbnb, my office, and an art studio. So it really has served multiple purposes, and now the residents that house the caretakers who lived on site to take care of the animals is now a long-term rental. So we have long-term rental and we have an Airbnb on site. From the beginning, the owners were committed to a very thoughtful design that included planning and building a very environmentally friendly facility that was beautiful and friendly to the surrounding neighborhood. And that truly was a goal of theirs. Once operational as a full-fledged boarding and training equestrian facility, and it was for dressage. The approach included land management techniques to protect the soil and water resources, and really focused on horse health and welfare. As you could see from that beautiful video that John McKenzie made for us, the horse part of the operation included a 15-stall wooden barn, which large paddocks, large indoor and outdoor arena, turnouts and pastures and compost bins. My role early on was to project manage the development of the farm. And then it evolved once we became operational to being the business and property manager. Currently, Len and I are still here because we have things going on. Len has been the grounds manager and built the community garden that we'll be talking about in detail later. As I thought about this, Reed, what has always appealed to both of us, and probably why we are still here, is the community aspects of the farm. It wasn't just designed to be a horse farm. It was a place to foster community through planned spaces and gatherings, which allow for support and interactions. And the space includes a yoga studio, meeting space in the barn, lodging, an art studio, and the community garden. And
So the recording aspect is behind us, right? Nobody's using a recording
No.
studio right now.
Mhm.
no, it was completely converted, although there, we believe that Kurt Cobain recorded music here.
Mm,
Yeah. Again, that could be an
right.
early, yeah,
We'll just ask Wacky Nut when we meet her.
yeah.
Mhm.
He
Okay.
may have haunted the place, who knows? So Reed, we really see this as a place to harness the talents and gifts of so many people and honor them through connection and learning, and which is a lot like what you do at the senior center. So the horse operation closed in 2022, as I mentioned before, but that community spirit lives on in the aspects that I talked about. And this is where Len comes in. And so I'm going to turn it over to him to talk about the community garden.
Okay. And so you talked about the idea of it being a space of community.
Mhm.
There's a way that happens throughout the year, it sounds like, with folks who are
Absolutely.
taking advantage of this garden. So yes, do tell us about it, Len.
Okay. Thanks again, Reed, for having us. And yeah, it's become a real passion of mine. We built the garden in 2008. When the garden farm was being built, Debbie Brainerd, who, of course, they started Islandwood, really focused on community. And she said, I'd like to have a community garden. So we finally put some stakes in the ground and said, how about this space? And knowing Debbie, she adjusted it a little bit and we built it all out of the wood that we milled here on site. So we had big posts all around, and the raised beds that we had were made out of the wood. And when we began, we probably had about 30 families and in ground beds and slightly raised beds. And but after 10 or 12 years, you know what happens with the wood here. It all rotted out, the posts and the beds. And so we redid it, put in different kind of fencing, and we have now 28 raised beds made out of durable green beds. They're made out of cement and wood chips. And in addition to the 28 raised beds, we have about 25 more ground beds. So we have a total of about 50 or 60 beds, and we have about 65 gardeners. And then we have three categories in the garden. We have gardeners, and some people have been wanting on a wait list. And I never really had a wait list, but now we have a category called transition members. And this last few years, gardeners pay $100 a year to belong. Transition members pay $100 a year. And then we had some people that were interested in supporting the garden and being affiliated with it, but didn't really want to garden. And so we've started a third category called frogs, friends of the garden. So now we have about 35, 40 frogs. And the frogs don't have to be on a team or do any work, but they're more than welcome to. So we love our frogs as well as our gardeners in the garden. So over the years, we've grown, we've morphed we've added additional things like we now have a greenhouse, we have a pergola, we have cider press where we have 2 cider presses every year. And over the years, as we grew, we thought we needed teams. So for the last few years, we've had teams. Um, it was too much for me to manage, but we have some wonderful volunteers. And so we have an orchard team that Steve Grum runs, and he has about 15 members on his orchard team. They do the mowing in our common area, they prune the trees, they take care of the grape arbor that we have. And then we have a garlic team, Steve Holman and his wife Mary. We planted about 300 garlic this fall, and we will share them among the gardeners. These are some of the pictures we have. And you can see the raised beds on some of those areas. We have berry team, have some blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, and Ken Large is the captain of that team. And then we have Marcy is on the call, and Marcy and Susan Morris coordinate a IVC helpline team. IVC is one of our favorite nonprofits, and during the summer they give out 500 to 800 bouquets to the community, to anybody that would like to have a flower delivered.
Yeah, flowers from the heart.
Flowers from the heart. Flowers from the heart. So I used to take the flowers down to Eagle Harbor Congregational Church, leave them on the front door, but that became quite a undertaking 3, 4 times a week. And so we started this team. So Marcy and Susan have a group of people. I cut the flowers in the morning, the dahlias, and they take down 20 to 50 flowers every day during the week that they're doing bouquets, and then they arrange them and deliver them. So that's
All right, it's a flower brigade.
Yeah,
Flower
and you
brigade.
didn't mention all the dahlias, I don't think.
No,
Yeah.
we started, John Keller, one of my neighbors, and I started with a couple hundred dahlias, and John is now 88, and he spends the winters down in Arizona, so he doesn't have as much time or energy as he did. But he's become a little overwhelmed because as the property is, we've added dahlias. We are now up to about 1,500 dahlia plants, and we now have 10 dahlia teams to help tie them up and weed them and take care of them. So we have a lot of flowers. In addition, we've added other flowers like zinnias, cow lilies, and so forth to augment that. So we have a wonderful greenhouse team. We have a couple teams. In fact, unfortunately, one of our avid gardeners, Jay Counts, passed away this last year. And we've named the greenhouse after Jay's greenhouse, because he was instrumental in having the gardeners build this thing that took about 3 months to build. But now the greenhouse is used for starting flowers, veggies, and also our bouquet team. And Renee DeTola does a great job with our bouquet team. We have about 15, 18 people that come Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays to make anywhere from 15 to, well, usually about 24 bouquets. But we have made as many as 100 bouquets because we do it for events. So at the dahlia cart that we have close to the labyrinth and prayer wheel, Paul and Debbie were kind enough to build the prayer wheel facility and the labyrinth.
Yeah, that's out on Halls Hill Road.
It is, and it's now owned by the Parks Foundation, but the dahlia cart has been grandfathered in since it was owned by the Brainards. So every summer we open the dahlia cart from April through October, and we start selling things like starts, cow lilies early in the spring, and things like that. Then during the summer, starting really in June, mid-June, we start selling dahlias through October. And we sell single stems. We probably have the best buy of dahlias on the island. This year we were selling them for 12 stems, any size, for $5. And we make the bouquets are small, medium, and large, $5, $10, and $15. And then we make special larger bouquets. We've made them for a lot of events, for gatherings, whether it be at Islandwood, for barn events, BEMA events, IVC, the Parks Foundation, and different ones, and for weddings. And I will cut for, in this past couple of years, we've been charging $1 a stem if people come on site, and I cut whatever they want, any size. And they've cut as many as a couple hundred for a special events. So the bouquet team has become a real community. Each Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, there's anywhere from 3 to 7 people making bouquets. And so it's very much a community thing. We've also worked with other gardens like Anita Rockefeller at Rock Garden, and Kelly Eichmann, who runs Sugar Moon Gardens, and other gardens on the island, Winnie Farms, we do things with, and Heyday Farms. So we build community that way. Our cider presses, we have 30 to 50 people come out and make a lot of cider. And so um, I'm entertaining questions too. Maybe
Yeah. Well, I'm just marveling. It's sort of like when people say to me when they see the senior and community uh um newsletter that we put out a couple times a
yeah,
month, they said I had no idea there was all this stuff going on. Well, I had no idea how active Wacky Nut Farm is. And I've lived here for many, many years. Of course, uh not on the south end. And
yeah.
so, although I've occasionally gone to the labyrinth, I've never had occasion to pop in. Are there times when it's most convenient to kind of come take a look see or uh, maybe find out if you want to be a frog or
Oh,
hope to
absolutely.
be a transition gardener?
And people can call me. We have a website, and so people can go to the website. We also have Facebook. Renee DeTola, our captain of our bouquet team, has quite a following on Facebook. And then Christy Heath does a lot of my right hand work or details and books and everything else. Uh, has over 1,000 Instagram followers. So if people call me or email me, I'm happy to show them. I'm virtually here 7 days a week. And
Well, with email, you're virtually somewhere. Uh,
yes,
so so I know I saw Stella's email on the website. Is yours also available there?
I think Lens is on the Wacky Nut Garden
Okay.
website.
we have a,
So if you just Google Wacky Nut Garden, you can get to it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, there is a ton going on, but the reason it works is because people are just so invested in the community aspect of it. I mean, it's really is astounding, Reed, the commitment and the hard work and the fun and learning that takes place there. And really, I saw a big turning point. I mean, it's always been a really lovely, great place to be, but I think we got a renewed appreciation for it during the pandemic because people were coming out to garden together, and it was that sense of connection that we all craved. And what you don't really know if you're going to miss something unless it's been taken away, right? So I think we all learned a lot during that episode, and the garden was one of those retreats where we could go and be with one another.
Yeah, well, it's one of those. I mean, it was the outdoor spaces were what we were really exploring there as soon as we could recognize that that was the safest place to keep things together. And the other thing about our wonderful island is there are all kinds of these micro or smaller communities where
Absolutely.
there's community there are people who are active at the community gardens up at Battle Point. There's a little community garden, pine, red pine wood. People have worked there. I mean, they're different things, and you find a community and plug
Yeah,
in, and it makes a big difference to the quality of life. That's for sure.
it
And
really
it's
does.
wonderful that you're doing this. I mean, it's a combination. It sounds like in some cases you're selling things from the farm. In other cases, you're giving them away, like for
right.
example, to Flowers from the Heart.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in the garden, we also have some things in common. So even the frogs can come and participate in some of those. Like one full bed is all herbs, and so anybody can help themselves to the herbs. The orchard, the apples are all available. The berries are available to people, and so gardeners all get discounts on our soil soup, and we sell poppy seeds. In fact, we have. Here's, can you,
I'll be Vanna.
we have these lavender sachets
Yeah,
for sale for $7 and even and poppy seed packets for $5. Make wonderful gifts for people this holiday season. We sell those for $5 each or 5 packets for $20. And Laura had her dog there, and that reminds me, in addition to the garden, next door to the garden, one of the pastures we've converted to a dog park for the gardeners. So many of our gardeners have dogs, so it's a very popular place. In fact, Loanne is on the call here. Loanne, can you comment about your experience in the garden?
Hello. So I was introduced into the garden in 2021. And then my husband said, we can't buy a house here yet. We don't know anything about the other side. So we left and went to Belleville to live. And not to say there's anything wrong with Belleville, but I really, really miss the community at Wacky Nut. And that was probably one of the biggest reason why a year ago we bought a house here on Bainbridge. And so now I'm a permanent member. But yeah, Len and Stella are so welcoming. And I think frogs are a great addition also. And it's just a great place. I can't say.
Loanne is there about every morning, and she and her husband Wayne. We have so many people that are dedicated to the garden and work on the teams. And they come from all around the island. We have a lot of people from Linwood Center area, from Rockaway Beach, Fort Ward, but people come from the other north end of the island and from Battle Point area. And we have some wonderful talent like Darren Murphy, who's president of the Bainbridge Island Fruit Club and runs the Johnson Farm Community Garden, is an active member at Wacky Nut and gives us tips on what we should do and not do. And we learn from each other. We make mistakes, but that's part of the learning process. So,
Yeah, before I'll just add that the website is pretty straightforward, wackynutgarden.com, or the website for the farm itself is, I think, just wackynutfarm.com.
Wacky Nut Farm.
Anybody who's on here who wants to add a note about who's been active, I don't know if Marcy or Laura, if anybody wants to say anything about their experience, it'd be great.
Sure. This is Laura. And, Wacky Nut has been just such a great addition to my life. Len met me at a work party at the Labyrinth and took me over to Wacky Nut. He says, have you ever been to Wacky Nut Farm? And I was like, no, I didn't really know. I mean, I'd seen the street, but I didn't know what it was. And
have you ever been to Sesame Street?
I know, pretty much. But it was just the space itself is just, it's breathtaking. And there's such a sense of just sort of peace when you go up there, and it's just beautiful. And you've got all these people who are just, happily working on the 10,000 dahlias or, whatever else is going on. But it's just been such a lovely group to be a part of. I am one of those people who is learning by mistakes on many of the things, on pruning and this and that, but everybody is so welcoming and supportive. It's kind of, come as you are and contribute as you can. And, some people are very skilled, like, my wife she's on the bouquet team and she does a great job with that. I will lift heavy things. That would be, that's kind of what I can offer. But it's a lovely group, and there's social events happen, twice a month as well, which is another lovely way to just interact and connect with people and get to know each other. But it's great. We all, we share things. Somebody's got extra beans and they'll give you tomatoes or whatever it is. And
great. And you'll build up the confidence to do the trimming of the dahlias in sometime in the future. I know, Laura. Marcy, do you want to add something?
I'll second everything that Laura said, and I was going to mention the social events also because the community loves food. We love to grow food and we love to eat food. And so we have a really delightful time just sharing things we've made from what we're growing a couple of times a month in the garden. And that is so welcoming to everybody. If they're a frog, if they're whoever they are, it's a big community event that's just a lovely way to get together. The other thing I've noticed, if you go up really early in the garden, because of the setting with trees around it and open meadow, you'll have the most goldfinches and the most wonderful birds flying around. It's a beautiful habitat. So it's if you're there on your own, you aren't alone. You're surrounded by wonderful creatures and birds. So it's really special.
And it's a wonderful, I mean, it's earlier in the day. It's going to be perfect because it's on the eastern side.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice. Well, I want to thank you, Len Beil and Stella Lay, for sharing your experiences, and everybody else who showed up to talk a little bit about Wacky Nut Farm. Um, it's obviously an island treasure in itself, and thank you all for making it one. Thanks for spending the time today.
Thanks, Reed.
Thank you, Reed.